Welcome to the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast, where we bring you a weekly dose of powerlifting news, tips, and training advice with a touch of 80s rock ballads. This podcast is presented by Team Roar Powerlifting, your source of the most comprehensive coaching and meet day preparation. Here are your hosts, Josh Rohr and Laura Sturm.
Welcome to episode 166. How are you, Josh Rohr?
I'm sick, but good. Had this nasty cough since got back from the Arnold, so still riding it out.
Superbug.
Superbug, yeah, pretty much. It's awesome.
Not fun. So
yeah.
We'll excuse you if you start coughing, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. So we had a question that came in from a valuable listener, from a loyal listener. I don't know. So the question was, who are some individuals who you consider as unsung heroes in the current era of powerlifting, and why?
Yeah. You want to go first?
What? So you can knock down whatever I say?
Exactly.
Oh, all right. Well, the thing that came to mind to me originally was
wrong. Oh, sorry, I jumped again.
We're like meet directors and state chairs and committee chairpersons and to some extent the executive board, right, of USA Powerlifting, because there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that people don't know about to put on these meets, and without those roles, there are no meets. There, COVID would have shut down the whole thing and changed things so bad that they didn't come back. But the people that put on meets, I think, are the unsung heroes.
Yeah.
Agree? Disagree?
I don't disagree. I think them for sure. But I think people I would put up there would be people like Bill Sindelar, Joe Marksteiner, the referees that go and travel to pretty much every single national competition. And they also travel and support local meets, and they do that pretty much on their own dime. So meet directors, I agree also, but I think they at least get a little bit more recognition because their name is associated with the meet, for whatever that's worth. So I think the more unsung side of that would be the people sitting in the chairs, and there are a lot of referees that do a meet or two a year, and that's fine, but there's a lot of referees that do 10, 20 meets a year. And I think they're the real unsung heroes, because if every referee, sat in the chair a few times a year, that'd be good. But some people get their ref credentials and then never ref, so somebody has to fill the slack there. And I think some of those referees that do that. I agree with you on the committee chairs too, because for the most part, those are volunteer positions as well. So they're doing a lot of work. And a lot of the committee chairs, and even executive committee for that matter, don't get paid. So it's a volunteer position, and there's not a meet that has their name attached to it where they get, recognized at least a little bit from there. So I think there's a lot of work that gets done behind the scenes with a lot of names that people might not know who they are. And I think, those are the unsung heroes in my opinion. And maybe I'm a little biased being on the executive committee, but I just know how much work gets put in. And, even if you want to take it to the top, Larry Maley, the president, people know his name because he's the president. But most times people know his name for every time something goes wrong, not for every time something goes great. And the amount of work that he puts in behind the scenes and things like that, people just will never know. I think is, and you can argue he gets a stipend and everything to be president, but to be honest, the money is probably not worth the amount of headache. So, even though you are getting paid, it's probably not really worth it.
Yeah, that's a shit job. Any of those. Everything from state chair. Meet director is kind of a pain in the ass, but at least, I don't know, you're doing something, your name is associated with it. But yeah, all of that is just a shit job, and there's no amount of money that can really compensate you for all the headache. No way.
Yeah, and And I consider them, I consider all those positions like unsung heroes because like somebody has to do it and somebody has to do it well for the organization to succeed. And there's a lot of people that take pride in it and do a very good job. And, but you only hear their name like if something goes wrong or, whatever. So, you
Right.
know, basically like uh Raw Nationals filling up in less than 24 hours. Like, oh, what a shit show. You know, Larry Maley and the executive board should have blah blah blah. And yeah, in hindsight, right, we should have, you know, not had that happen. But at the end of the day, like how many times have things gone really well? Or also look at it a different way, like the fact that that many people were chomping at the bit to register for Raw Nationals and it filled up at over 1,100 lifters in less
Mm,
than 24 hours. Okay, we are doing something right, right? It's not, you know.
absolutely.
So anyway,
One other to I think bring in too is like the people that are in charge of like the media, um, at meets, like the jumbotrons and the presentation and the live feeds and that end of it, to make our sport look so damn sexy sometimes, um, is amazing. Like Gino announcing, Gino doesn't get paid jack
yeah,
shit for doing all that. Like we we make things look sexy at USA Powerlifting. Like I got a lot of people texting me from work and other things that are that went to the Arnold but that aren't powerlifters, that texted me and were like, "Wow, this is a cool show to watch." And that's the type of thing that also gets people excited about being involved in it and going.
yeah. You know what? Now that I mean, that's funny because like Gino wasn't even at the top of my head, but I actually would put him at number one. Because if you just think about the amount of work he puts in, like how hard it is to be on your feet all day, like hyping every single lifter the whole day,
Yeah,
sometimes 4 platforms, 4 days. Um, think about how different USA Powerlifting is without Gino. Just from a hype standpoint, like what it means when he's there. Yeah, I think
right.
Gino is number one unsung hero in my opinion. And it's funny because like that's how unsung he is. Like he didn't even come to mind at first, and
Mm,
he should have been number one.
right. The ultimate unsung.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, have you ever been to a weightlifting meet?
I have crickets.
It's Yeah, it's crickets. There's no like music. There's no. I mean, sometimes I guess they have instant replay, but their announcers not trying to hype people up. It's crickets. It's
Yeah.
quiet.
Yeah,
It
it's for the other it's for other lifters and family members of people competing, but you're not going to entertain anybody outside of that that isn't directly connected to it.
right.
And I think that's what Gino brings to the table is like you can know nothing about powerlifting and you can be entertained by watching a USA powerlifting meet.
Yeah, and it's cool as a lifter to be up there and be portrayed on the jumbotron, and like that's the stuff that gets people excited.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be. Like, you know,
Hmm.
it's a lot of work to train and get ready for competition. Just to have the balls to step onto the platform, like, is a big
Right.
deal. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Nice.
cool.
Moving on.
Yeah, so we talked about our lifters last week that lifted at the Georgia State meet and the Arnold, but we didn't talk about the people that helped coach. So I wanted to just kind of give a shout out to all those. So, uh, Wade Johnson, one of our coaches on staff, he coached every session at the Georgia State meet and at the Arnold. So he was a unsung hero on the coaching side there. But Saturday morning we also had Olivia Vilea and Gwen Cook doing social media. Saturday afternoon at the state meet, Ray Nasari and Olivia doing social media. And then Sunday we had yourself and Mr. Dan Sturm. A lot of actually, I don't think we've talked really since then outside of last week on the podcast, but a lot of people said you guys are awesome. Can't
It's because
disagree
we
with
are.
that.
Yeah.
I know. I know. And then Olivia was lifting slash coaching, and then Gretchen was doing social media on Sunday. But then at the Arnold, we had the 6 lifters in that one session at the Masters Pro Final, which was a lot of moving parts. And Wade was there. Mike Haffenbrack was Clutch, he wrapped Katie and Laura Sterland and did a great job. Greg Simpson was there, Chris Sterland, Laura's son, and then John Price, Katie Dodge's husband, were there kind of to round out the coaching staff. So it was good. We had a great staff. I'd put them up against anybody. I mean, everybody communicated well. Everybody was warmed up on time, uh, ready to go, and yeah, it was great. It was probably the best. I'd say it was the smoothest Arnold that we've had with that many lifters, without
Nice.
any mishaps. So it was good.
In the same,
And yeah,
6 and 1
same
that are
session.
equipped lifters. That's a
Yeah,
lot.
four were equipped and two were raw, but yeah, it was
Right.
it was
Right.
a lot. Um,
Well, one other person that was coaching that day, all of those days, was Josh Rohr. You didn't put
yeah, that
yourself
guy.
on there.
Yeah, that guy was there too.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's good.
Yeah, yeah, he's all right.
But it's kind of awesome that you didn't even list yourself. Like, hey, you were there.
Yeah. So I don't know. I haven't really told anybody this, but like Friday morning when I woke up at the Arnold, I was feeling pretty bad. There was a good 20 minutes where I was strongly considering not going. Like I felt so bad. So uh I almost wasn't on this list.
Well, you didn't put yourself on the list in the first place.
Well, that's true.
But of
Yeah.
course, nobody watching or listening can see that. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's just ironic.
Yeah. It's
Took
kind of,
yourself
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
So what's
Well,
going on in the Georgia calendar?
well, there's a lot of meets. I don't know which ones we've already mentioned and which ones we haven't, but I'll just kind of go down through the list. There's currently 10 meets on the calendar for the rest of the year so far. Probably with more to be added. But uh March 23rd is the Melee Madness up in Ringgold, Georgia. Lydia's running that one. April 11th through 14th is Collegiate Nationals, and that's down at the airport in Atlanta. The Savannah Spring Classic is April 20th. Tracy Cook is running that in Savannah. Uh, May 18th is the Anime Open. This is interesting. Siraj and Kathy are running it in Alpharetta, but there's some sort of anime competition afterwards too. I think it's like costume or something. I'll be honest, I don't know anything about anime. Um, and I've seen like mixed reviews, like people saying this is awesome, all the way to like anime is stupid. So I don't know. I think there's a niche there. Some people will sign up for that if they're into anime. I myself am clearly, maybe I would be if I knew what it was, but I'm not, so I don't. Um, Southeast Regionals is June 8th and 9th in Lawrenceville. I'm sorry, in Norcross. Elizabeth Turner's running that one. That'll be a big one. There is uh the Fit Iron Throwdown, June 29th in Statesboro, Georgia. Tracy Cook is running that. Trueborn Knockout is August 3rd and 4th in Alpharetta. And then the Georgia State Bench and Day of the Deads are October 19th in Alpharetta. And then the Georgia Collegiate Cup is November 16th in Alpharetta. So there's quite a few
Wow.
meets coming up. I fully expect those to sell out as most of the Georgia meets do. So if you're planning to do any of those, I would probably sign up sooner than later, or don't get mad when I say I told you so.
Yeah, right. When Josh Rohr told you so, then you better listen.
Yeah.
So, new lifter tip.
What you got?
What I got. So I was kind of thinking about the unsung heroes bit, and just um, in with your new understanding of what it takes to put on a meet, new lifter who's listening, be kind to your meet director, be kind to your volunteers. There's often a tendency to blame people for things that go wrong, and things go wrong. I mean, they just do. Sometimes it's a missed spot, or a computer mess up, or things start slower. Just there can be a variety of things that go wrong, but just maybe be understanding with your meet directors and your volunteers, because there's a lot of moving pieces that are involved to put these things together.
True.
That
I
that's
agree.
your only comment? Okay.
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure you've had your share of people that have emailed you after a meet and been like, you messed this up, you know.
Yeah, every time it's rare that like things could go perfectly, which I they've never have gone perfectly, but as close to perfectly as they're going to go, and it's crickets. But one thing, and I'm even trying to think like I don't know one, I don't know. One time we had a couple people change weight classes day of, and I didn't have the right number of medals because of all the day of changes. So like I think two people got like a silver medal and it was supposed to be bronze or something like that. And I got an email from one of them just like, hey, I just think it's unprofessional that, we pay our money and compete, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you're not wrong. I understand. Like, I get it. You're not wrong. I'm so sorry. Like, I will mail you the correct medal. Just things like that. But it's just like, yeah, a little grace
Right.
sometimes it's not like I would purposely like, you know what? I'm going to screw over the people that you know, change weight classes. Like I thought I had enough medals because usually there's not, there was an unprecedented number of weight class changes on the day. Usually there's not that many. And, sometimes a small local meet, there's not that like if the competition's like just an open meet and it's, sold out, usually you're going to have, 5 to 10 lifters in a weight class. Well, then it doesn't matter if people change because you got first through third covered anyway. But,
Right.
in some cases there were lifters competing uncontested in some weight classes. Well, then when people move, now they're not uncontested. So like medals need to be accounted for that weren't necessarily at the beginning. But anyway, blah blah blah. Like just little things like that they're not little. They are big. They are a big deal. Like if you're a competitor, you do expect to get the correct medal. But it's one of those things. Like it was an oversight. And it was not intentional. And I'm sorry if you're listening.
Right. Please
Person,
forgive me.
you know who you are.
Yeah, I
Um,
had something similar happen as a meet director as well, where somebody, sent me a nasty email saying, you didn't give me the right medal. When I looked at the results of this meet, I was, it says that I'm number two, but you gave me the bronze medal. Why was I not represented as that? Like, it was like she wanted like a public apology and for me to like post it somewhere like, oh, hey, this person actually got second rather than third. I don't actually know what happened, if it was a computer glitch or what really.
yeah.
But yeah, all you can do is, apologize and send them the right medal. Um, but on that, I just didn't even know what she wanted. Yeah. Or, conversely, if there's a meet that where things go right, mention the meet director, mention people that put it together or thank them when you
I'll
do
tell you
your
what. I'll
post.
tell you what. Yeah, you don't have to even do it publicly. Like even just like a private email, just saying, "Hey, it was a great
Mm,
meet. I had a great experience." Like to a meet director, that means the world.
yes,
You don't have to go on
absolutely.
social media and say, "Hey, so and so did a great job." Like even just a private message nobody knows you ever sent means the world. So
Right. Yeah, I see lifters often, after their last lift, they shake the hands of the referees, and I think
yeah,
that's cool too. That's a
yeah,
nice gesture.
I agree.
This is a lot of work that goes into these things.
Yeah,
Soapbox, getting off of it.
cool. All right. Well, that's all I have. I think.
Oh, and there's one other thing we need to talk about, which happened at the state meet, which is just crazy awesome. So Josh, and I know you know about this, I'm just telling the listeners. Um, you presented me with your Christmas gift,
Oh yeah.
um, which was the joint gift, and I didn't understand what you meant. And I was like, joint between like me and Dan, or like me and you, like, and you were like, well, me and you, but it could be. So you were just like so vague about it. So when I got there, you had these wrapped shirts, opened it up, and my shirt had your face on it, and your shirt had my face on it. Both of us were looking kind of awkward for sure. Um, and I think my shirt said, we put the AWE, and your shirt finished it out with into awkward or something like that.
Yep.
And even awkward was spelled wrong, AWE.
Of course.
Okay. So that was amazing.
Yeah.
Well played, Josh Rohr.
Thank you. I thought it was a good one. The only thing that did not work in my favor is I ordered the wrong size for myself because the shirts ran a little bit small. So I normally wear a large, but I'm not as slim as I normally am. So I put it on and I was gonna wear it because you said I had to, and it was literally cutting circulation off in my arms.
It was like a bench shirt,
It was like a bench shirt, so I
crop top.
elected to not. Yeah, yeah, it was like a crop top too, almost. So I
Well,
elected not to wear it. So I have to get back in shape so that we can wear our matching shirts
yes. And
at some
I
point.
don't know, it was kind of even more classic that way when your shirt was smaller and your like midline was being exposed because I mean, it's putting more awkward
It
into
definitely,
awkward.
it was definitely more awkward. And if it was just a normal like, if I didn't like have to be at like on and at my best, like I would wear it. But it was like it was interfering with me like loading the bar and things like that. So I'm like, I can't do this at a meet. Not to mention all the lifters that have to like would have to go out on the platform with that schmuck beside them. Like how embarrassing would that be?
Okay, I know. I was very disappointed that you took it off, but
Yeah, well,
yeah, and we never got the
I
photo out up
I
of us
yeah,
with the shirts on, which is also still wrong. So
yeah,
maybe the
well,
next podcast we'll each wear our shirt and then we can arrange the screens
yeah,
to get that
we
photo
can
up.
we can try to do that.
And we'll forget, so it
Yeah,
won't happen.
totally.
Sorry.
Actually, we should just make that our every week we wear it for the podcast. Same shirt
Yes.
every week.
Yes. We should do
And we don't wash it until we have a bad episode.
that. And your shirt will just get smaller and smaller and
Yeah. Yeah. But
sorry.
so my joke was going to be we won't wash it until we have a bad episode, but like basically that means we'd wash it every week.
Well, I guess it's just subjective,
Yeah.
just because what's bad mean?
Sometimes bad means good. That episode
Some,
was bad, man.
yeah, yeah. And sometimes less is more. And with
Yeah.
that, we're signing off.
Yeah, that's all I got, man. All right. Good
All
talk.
right.
Later.
Bye now.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode of the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast, please remember to subscribe and share it with your friends.